Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into episode number 42 of the Zoomer Sports Radio. It's week 6 of the college football show. I'm back. We got a great slate of games this Saturday for all you guys. First of all, Penn State, Iowa, marquee matchup. Arkansas, Ole Miss, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Texas A&M. Great slate of college football games, but just the whole situation with the college football right now is both healthy and unhealthy. The state of college football, perhaps you might call it, is both unhealthy and healthy here. The healthy part, I would say, is there's been some turnover in teams in the top dogs in college football this season. Clemson's fallen. It's not just the top 5, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Oklahoma and Ohio State, just those chalk 5. There's been some turnover. Iowa's having a great year. Penn State, Cincinnati, who's not even a Power 5. They will be next year when they join the Big 12, but they are still a group of 5 in the American. Obviously, Oregon's up there at 8. BYU, Oklahoma State, Michigan, some teams we haven't heard of in the past, but there's still the blue blood presence. Obviously, Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma at 6, Ohio State at 7, Oregon at 8. I'd even call them. They've been relevant for a long time. Michigan at 9, Notre Dame 14, Arkansas football is back. They're at 13. Kentucky's on the rise. I wouldn't call them a blue blood. Well, they would be in basketball, but these are some teams on the rise. This is just that turnover I'm talking about. Whether you think it's good or bad, I've always stated college football needed some new teams, or it might lose popularity if we just saw Clemson, Alabama every year in the national championship, Clemson, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma, Clemson. So this is good for college football. There's some turnover here. Obviously, Texas is somewhat on the rise. Texas has not been in this good as a situation as it currently is under Steve Sarkisian since they had Mac Brown. They struggled under Charlie Strong, struggled under Tom Herman, but Texas football is on the rise. But that SEC move might jeopardize that. Texas is not fit for the SEC yet. Oklahoma, however, is. I think Oklahoma could be a 9-3 team in the SEC with this current Spencer Rattler team. I think you lose to Bama, A&M maybe, Ole Miss, just so tough. Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky even. And we're talking Kentucky as a football school ever since I got Will Levis from Penn State. But Mark Stoops built a great program there. So what I got for you on the show today is, first of all, we talked to state of college football. Just did right now in my intro. Second of all, the reason there was no week 3, week 4, week 5 college football shows at Zoomer Sports Radio is, one, I was in Iowa. I was out in Cedar Rapids in Iowa City, Iowa, playing baseball out in the Perfect Game Colonels. I went to an Iowa football game. I'm going to talk about that just shortly. And then a bunch of college apps and just school. But we are back today on the Saturday morning. And after that, I have my college football graveyard segment I'm really happy to introduce. So stick around for that. And then we're going to talk about Heisman hopefuls, college football hot seats, and then I'll give you my picks for today's games. Anyway, let's talk about the Iowa game. So first of all, it was September. It was week 3 of college football. I was out in Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, that area, out in central-ish Iowa. And I went to the Iowa-Kent State football game. And let me tell you, so we pull up to Kinnick Stadium right at kickoff. And as you're walking up, so we parked in downtown Iowa City, which is about a 0.91 mile walk from Kinnick Stadium. So we walk through campus, and you could just, as you cross the river, you could just hear the do from the stadium. As you get closer, and you just get starting to feel amped. And then you walk through like this narrow strip of the hospital, like right in between parking garage and the regular hospital, just narrow road. And then you just see I believe that would be that south end zone of the student section just bouncing and rocking. There's thunderstrucks going off. We walk through security. We see the kickoff. We get to our seats. Great seats, by the way. Fantastic seats. Shout out to the season ticket holders on StubHub who got us 6 seats. I went to some of my teammates. They had chair backs to the bleachers, which was phenomenal. Recommend if you go to any college football game, find a chair, a seat with the seat back, so you're not just aching your back on bleachers all day. But that was phenomenal. Just saying phenomenal a lot. it was just a great experience. We saw it was a good game up until the fourth quarter. It was about to be tied at 14-all when Kent State was driving the ball down the field, had the ball to the 1 yard line, fumbled in the end zone. Iowa recovered, and I think they won 35-7, but it should not have been that close. Iowa played terrible that game. Let's talk about more of the experience. I think for the football state, I've been to, 3 college football stadiums, Illinois, Clemson, and Iowa. I think Iowa ranks up there as an elite college football stadium. Kinnick Stadium is an awesome atmosphere. First of all, the wave at the end of the first quarter, one of the best traditions in college football.
The University of Iowa's Family Children's Hospital, and join together in sending our support and encouragement to the kids and their families watching the game.
That's up there with Penn State whiteouts, Clemson running down the hill, and Howard's Rock. FSU's the dude who throws, I don't know what that, the Seminole who throws that thing into the football field. I don't know what that is called, a spear maybe. But it's just a great tradition because there's for all of you those who don't know, the University of Iowa Health System Children's Hospital is right across the street from the football stadium. And it's tall enough where you can see in from the top floors. You can watch the game. And the kids watch the games from their rooms or the common area up there. And everyone waves to them. And at night games, they get out their phones and throw the flashlight out there and wave it like that. So you could, and we were at a day game. So we just did the regular wave, but it's really cool. And Iowa games are really fun to be at. So I'll throw in some videos here if you're listening on the YouTube version. And if you're on the Spotify, Apple version, thank you very much for listening. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Every subscription means a lot. Make sure you follow us. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. You will get a shout out if you do. But let's talk some more college football. So let's go to the graveyard now. Just the shadowy, dark depths of hell of college football right now is what I would describe these programs at. You got a bunch of programs who are ranked on top 25 preseason and now have 2 to 3 losses and are looking maybe to fire their coach, change directions, or their team just isn't good. Injuries for some of them have been bad, but let's take a look at them. First off, we have one of the teams I cheer for, and that's the Clemson Tigers. First of all, Tony Elliott, you might be getting fired. Holy cow, you guys have regressed so much since Trevor Lawrence's freshman year. It's just imposterous. How does you win the Natty freshman year, Trevor Lawrence, then you lose to Joe Burrow? I get that was like maybe the greatest college football team of all time. Lose the national championship, lose to Justin Fields in the semifinal game, and now you guys can't run squat. You can't play offense at all. You're getting embarrassed by teams like NC State. Like, no offense. If you want to tell me you're a national title contender, don't take NC State to overtime and lose. NC State, Dave Doran, former NIU coach, has built a decent program there, 7-5, 8-4 program at best. Don't tell me you're a national title contender if you're going to lose to them, if you're going to barely hang on Boston College, barely beat them by a step. They haven't been relevant since maybe Matt Ryan or Doug Flutie. And Georgia Tech, that game, you guys should have lost. You had it's a great defense. Brett Venables, great 4th down stop or goal line stop by James Klasky there. Just Tony Elliott should not have a job. And Jeff Scott, the former co-offensive coordinator for UCF, is like 1-6 right now, or he'd be 1-5. He might get fired. Do you bring back Jeff Scott and Tony Elliott to find like DJ Uiagalelei? What? Who is this guy? This is not what we expected. When we saw in the Notre Dame game, we saw this up and coming team, Heisman hopeful. Now we're left with a guy who throws duck snorts to receivers 8 yards down the field. The Clemson offense is the same thing as the Matt Nagy offense. It gets no yards. It's terrible. They have no running game. Lynn J. Dixon, I don't even know. This running game is terrible. When you lose 2 first-rounders in Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, yes, your team's going to hurt. But I didn't think you would be this bad. Right now, Clemson's an 8-4 team right now. Unless they turn it around, their defense is a national title defense. Their offense is a 6-6 offense in the ACC. And the ACC is a terrible football conference. That's just my Clemson rant. Tony Elliott maybe should be looking for a job at Walmart or wherever after, because I don't know if he's going to be staying around. I get he's won 2 national titles. But he had Jeff Scott for those 2 national titles. Remember that. He had Jeff Scott. He doesn't have him anymore. You bring in Taj Boyd, you bring in all these guys, but it's not working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But guess what? It's broke, so you better fix it, Tony Elliott, because these standards don't fly with Clemson. And then going in, that's the end of my Clemson rant. I've just been you can't have this much of a regression in 4 years. Obviously, they had. Well, let's go down to the next team, Texas A&M. If they had Kellen Mond instead of who's their quarterback? I'm blanking on the name. A&M's quarterback is Haynes King. I don't even think he's a starter. He got hurt. I forget who the backup is. But if they had Kellen Mond, they'd be a decent team. But they lost to Arkansas, who's back, and that's great for college football. Arkansas is a very historic program. And they lost to Hail State of Mississippi State. And Will Rogers, like Mississippi State's nothing. They're not even a bowl team, I don't think. I think they're 5-7 at best in the SEC West. And you lost to them, and you're going to lose to Bama again tonight. And you almost lost to Colorado Boulder, who's like a 3-9 team in the horrific Pac-12 East. Actually, our Arizona State and UCLA are decent, but it's still top heavy and not great at best. So I don't know what's going wrong at A&M. You have Isaiah Spiller. You had a great defense, DeMarvin Leal, Kenyon Green. But what's going on, A&M? Jimbo Fisher, what's going on, man? You haven't had you haven't made a playoff or anything yet since Florida State. You haven't done anything at A&M yet. I don't know what the boosters over there at that university are doing. We're not going to get into just like my just hatred for Texas A&M, just the university in general. Just you have the 12th man, Kyle Field. You still can't get to a playoff. Like, yeah, I get you had to face Bama. You got to beat Bama if you want to get in the playoff. And Johnny Manziel doesn't walk through that door. So anytime soon. No, neither is Mike Evans or Myles Garrett or Ryan Tannehill, whoever you want to name. You guys got to figure out how to win. And that's when we move to Iowa State, who are the biggest frauds of all time. Don't hype yourself up, Matt Campbell, if you're just going to go 3-2. Don't come out as the number 7 ranked team and preseason polls, then lose at home to Iowa. I get the number 3 team now, but they weren't back then. And then go lose to Baylor, who has had issues. Like they were what 2-10 4 years ago, right after Matt Rule left and went to Carolina. But don't call me with Breece Hall. Breece Hall's been absolutely horrific this season. Let's pull up the Breece Hall stats in the Iowa game. Pulling up, let me get to it. Iowa State. Let's pull up the Breece Hall stats. And we're getting to it. Breece Hall, 551 yards. Oh, no, that's just season. Let's look at his stats versus Iowa. 16 rushes, 69 yards, 4.3 average, 1 touchdown, his long of 16. That's the best running back in the nation stats. Now, I get it. He did great versus Baylor, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. But first 2 weeks versus Northern Iowa versus Uni, you put up the exact same stats. You put up 69 yards, 1 touchdown. Exact same stats versus Uni against Iowa. I expect better out of that. Like 16 runs. And then Brock Purdy is like a 5th year. He's like a 7th year senior. He's been there forever. Doing okay. I mean, didn't throw a single touchdown pass. He threw 3 interceptions versus Iowa. The Iowa State, I guess, has found their way, but they're still not great, especially with that loss against Baylor. But they surprised you. They had better stats than I thought they would, or at least Breece Hall. But I did not like that. And then next up, we have Mac Brown's North Carolina, home of the one and only Briggs from TikTok, who's going crazy right now, crazy viral. If you've seen one of those, I'll overlay it on the YouTube version. Once again, if you listen to the Spotify version, I have ads running on the Spotify version. Listen to the Apple Podcast. That's the ones that I don't have anything on YouTube, so help me out on YouTube. If you're willing to, but if you're enjoying the show, just subscribe, comment, do whatever you want. I appreciate everything and anything. But let's move on to North Carolina. Mac Brown, you lost to Virginia Tech week 1. That could have been a fluke. It could have been not. But then you lost to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech and Jeff Collins is their coach. Team on the rise maybe here. I get he's listed as 19 on the hot seat chart right now. Jeff Collins. He's ranked 14 at Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech almost beat Clemson if they just run it in. If Skolasky doesn't make that awesome hit to cause the game to end, if they win that game, pulling up Georgia Tech here. So Georgia Tech's 2-3. They will beat Duke today. Duke is terrible. They're 2-3. They're scheduled. They lost to Pitt. We'll talk about Pitt. Actually, we won't. They have a bye this week. But Kenny Pickett's looked awesome at Pitt, and Pitt they beat Georgia Tech 50-1. They're 4-1. They had a loss versus Western Michigan in a shootout. That was a so-so game. They beat Tennessee. They'll beat Virginia Tech, I think, next week. They will not beat Clemson. I think Clemson will get their offense figured out by then. They have a bye week this week. They beat Miami. They beat Duke. Could possibly beat North. They could possibly be 10-2, 9-3. That's how good that's how high I am on this Pitt Panthers team. But the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, they lost to Northern Illinois by 1 point. Thomas Hammock, as he brought the Huskies back to their glory days of Dave Doran and Jordan Lynch. Kennesaw State, big win. Saw their campus this year when I was down in Atlanta for a baseball tournament. And Clemson lost to them barely. Destroyed North Carolina 45-22. Got destroyed by Pitt. I think they beat Duke. I think they beat Virginia. Lose to Virginia Tech. That would make them 4-4. Beat Miami. They go 5-7 because they have this is such a tough schedule to end the year with. Boston College, Notre Dame, Georgia. I'm sorry, Jeff Collins. You're going 5-7 at best. That's a terrible schedule to end on. And then next up, we got Wisconsin, who's a preseason 12. You guys are terrible. You guys are losing to the Illini today. It's Illini's homecoming. Remember last time you came into Memorial Stadium with everyone's fans? Kicked the game-winning field goal, 17-14. Lovie Smith's only big win in Illinois as the Illinois head coach. But Graham Mertz can't hit a receiver. All right. If you put Graham Mertz next to a barn, he couldn't hit the barn door. He could not hit the barn. He would find a way. He's the least accurate quarterback in college football. You should have kept Jack Cohen maybe because Graham Mertz has been awful this year. He threw 4 picks versus Notre Dame. Pull that up here. In a second, you're running. Wisconsin's known as this big running game offensive line. That's been a mystery this year of where it's been. But looking at this, the Wisconsin, Graham Mertz has thrown 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. There's a QB ratio of 103.5. Kiss FM. That's funny. Not been well there, Graham. And then versus Notre Dame, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. Explains it. Brandon Peters is better. Arthur Sikowski is better. I like the Illini today, but we'll get to the picks in a little bit. Miami, Florida, De'Aaron King. I get you guys have had a tough schedule. De'Aaron King is coming off a torn ACL. Lose to Bama, that's expected. Lose to Michigan State, not expected. Michigan State team on the rise. They're ranked 11 right now, 5-0. I really like this Michigan State team. Mel Tucker's got the program going. I predicted Michigan State to be 4-8. Prove me wrong. So shout out to Mel Tucker and the boys. Lost to Virginia. Shouldn't have happened. Virginia blew out Illinois. Illinois is a lost cause. I was high on Illinois. If you go back to week 1, I was high because we beat Nebraska, but Nebraska is also nothing. USC, Clay Helton's finally been fired. Urban Meyer will get I'm calling it right now. It's not really a hot take, but Urban Meyer will take the USC job. The whole bar incident at Columbus that he went through was just bad PR to get him fired or get him an out at Jacksonville because he's been on record saying in the NFL, I feel like I'm playing Alabama every week, which you are. Trevor Lawrence has been terrible under you. Urban Meyer will be out by the Jaguars quarterback at the end of the year, or Jaguars head coach at the end of the year. He will take the USC job, may bring USC back to prominence. I don't know. Urban Meyer's a way to just mess with things. Big loss to Oregon State. That means Dante Williams, their interim, will not get the job. And then 16, LSU, lost to UCLA, lost to Auburn. You're unranked, but I think LSU could beat Kentucky today. I'll talk more about that when I get to my picks. 17, Indiana, frauds. I had all these Indiana fans. Oh, we're a football school now. Oh, we're back at football. Tom Allen and Michael Penix Jr. are going to lead us back. No, you lost to Iowa, you lost to Cincinnati, you lost to Penn State. Get all those teams are top 10 teams, but you still lost. Michael Penix is out injured. You guys are going to go 5-7, 4-8. Just the Big Ten East is too hard for you guys to fare. And you guys suck at basketball too. Mike Woodson isn't going to bring you back to relevancy. anytime soon. Go Illini. All right, now, as we've 20 minutes into the show, let's get into our picks for this week. First of all, we got Michigan State Rutgers. I have all the picks right here on my notebook ready to go. Number 11, Michigan State versus Rutgers out in Piscataway, New Jersey. Michigan State is the 5-point favorite. The over-under is 50. Now, I'm going to take Michigan State here as I was high on them before. They're 5-0. They have big wins versus Miami, Florida that I didn't expect them to have. And they also got wins against Northwestern, did not expect them to have. Nebraska, Western Kentucky. Like, those are some decent wins right there. My phone's blaring an ad right now, but they're right now currently tied for first in the Big Ten West, which is one of the hardest divisions, probably besides the SEC West or SEC East. Penn State, Ohio State, they have 4 teams right now in the top 11. Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State. 5-0 right now. Or Ohio State's 4-1. They lost to Oregon, but Peyton Thorns had a great year, 11-1 TD to interception ratio, QBR of 169.3, and then Kenneth Walker, the third, great running back. He's averaging 136 yards per game, 8 touchdowns. He's very elusive. I like Michigan State here in this game. Let's go Sparty. I don't know what they're saying. And then next up, we got Maryland, Ohio State. Ohio State is second in the nation, averaging 8.4 yards per play. That is insane. OSU average points scored. First of all, they're 6-0 since Maryland's joined the Big Ten, and when they've played them. Ohio State averages 58 points against Maryland. And if you look, the line is minus 21, Ohio State. Pound the over. CJ Stroud, Chris Olave, these guys are going to get it done and get it done early. I wouldn't be surprised if CJ Stroud doesn't touch the field in the second half. I really like this team. Master Teague, Chris Olave, Mayan Williams, Garrett Wilson. I like Ohio State here. Over under 71. A little shaky there. I mean, again, if they score 50, Rutgers is still got to score 20, or Maryland is still got to score 21. I don't like that. Next up, South Carolina, Tennessee. Shout out my boy Sammy Lauderdale, who's been a caller in here. And I'm going with Sammy Lauderdale's team, Tennessee. Let's go. 10.5-point favorites versus South Carolina. They're at Knoxville. They're at the whole party scene. They're at Neyland Stadium. They're running through the T. The over-under for this game is 56.5. But I like Joe Milton and the Tennessee Volunteers. Jabari Small, great running back, and I think they just run through the South Carolina because that front seven has not been what it once was with Jadeveon Clowney out there and Stephon Gilmore back when that great defense that took off. It was at Devin Gardner's helmet in the Outback Bowl. But I was watching that game live. It was pretty sweet, very sweet. I still remember to this day, and it happened in 2013, 2014. Because 2012 is Denard Robinson, so Devin Gardner, yeah, back when Michigan was relevant. First time since they've been relevant. Anyway, I like Tennessee. Next up, we have our first fan vote of the game. If you go to my if you follow Zoomer Sports on Instagram, we did a fan poll today on who do you think will win. First of all, we had 65% of Zoomer Sports listeners think Ole Miss will win. 35% say Arkansas will win. Ole Miss is the favorite at minus 5.5, over under 66.5 in this game. Arkansas, however, is the higher seed. Got absolutely blown out by Stetson Bennett, the backup quarterback for Georgia last week. They didn't score a single point against that Georgia defense. Georgia and Alabama, we all know they're going to be in the national title game. But I'm liking Ole Miss too here, looking at what the viewers say. You guys also like Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss. Matt Corral, Heisman candidate. Got Jerron Ely, great running back game, great running game. I like it over Arkansas. KJ Jefferson, he's gonna have to get the offense going this week. He scored 0 points last week against Georgia. Got to get the offense going. Next up, we have West Virginia, Baylor. West Virginia had a win versus Virginia Tech earlier this year. Baylor's 2.5-point favorite at McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas. 44.5 over under. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I like Baylor here. Jarrett Dodge, the West Virginia quarterback. I think he can do. I think he can throw the ball pretty well, but I'm going with Baylor here in this game. And next up, we have the second fan vote, also known as the Red River Rivalry, the Red River Showdown, the Red River Shootout, the Texas-Oklahoma game at Texas State Fair at the Cotton Bowl Classic Stadium. They got a lot of names for this. It's the Red River Showdown. And look at that. The Instagram, our listeners are heavily favoring Oklahoma. You know what? That is Spencer Rattler. They've been yelling, we want Caleb for a long time now. Spencer Rattler and Kennedy Brooks and who knows, but Texas, Bijan Robinson running back. I'm gonna go with Texas here because Oklahoma's 10-point favorites, 63.5 over under. Texas ranked 21, Oklahoma's ranked 6. I'm picking Texas primarily on the upset factor because I don't think they've beaten Oklahoma since that Charlie Strong victory. And I could be wrong on that, but I just have this feeling around Texas that like Spencer Rattler's been underperforming. He's getting booed by his own home fans in Norman. And in this college game day game, noon kickoff Eastern time, 11 a.m. kickoff Central on ABC, Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler, it would be the bright national media attention. I think he swallows over like a dead dog and dies and just underperforms. And Texas, Steve Sarkisian gets his first great big win after losing to Arkansas. So I do like that. And our viewers are 75% against me, Oklahoma. But shout out to the viewers who are on my side, which was Enzo. Shout out Enzo, Diego. They are on my side for that one. Next up, we have Florida State, North Carolina. This is a big game for Mike Norvell of Florida State. If he wants to keep his job, he's got to win this game. If he doesn't want to lose his job to Deion Sanders, which I don't know if he'll take it because he's built such a great thing down there in Jackson State, down in Mississippi. I don't know if he would take the job, but I think it's his alma mater. I feel like they should have offered a job in the first place, but Mike Norvell's getting fired. He's been absolutely awful. Awful. I can't even tell you how bad he's been. Mackenzie Milton got benched and everything. North Carolina, Sam Howell, Ty Chandler, Storm Duck, best name in college football. 17.5 favorites. They won the game. They won't win by 17.5. They won't win. I think they win by 10 to 13 points in this game. Over under 64. I could see maybe the over there, but I like North Carolina here. And then here, big game. Wisconsin at Illinois. The most underperforming team besides Clemson in the college football atmosphere, just the college football season this year, the FBS season this year, versus a team that has nothing to lose by Brett Bielema. And that's the team. I guess Wisconsin's nothing to lose either, but these are two teams with one winning conference. Illinois could have beat Purdue, settle for field goals. Illinois, if you want to win, you got to score touchdowns. I feel like that's just preaching on the choir, but you got to score touchdowns and win today. Graham Mertz, I'm looking for our great defense. We have a great defense here. I think, and down in Champaign, I think we look for Luke Ford, our tight end. He's our key player for Illinois to win. If we get him 8 touches or eight receptions, 65 yards, maybe 2 touchdowns, we win the game. Luke Ford is the difference maker in this game, and I like Illinois. Last time Wisconsin came to Memorial Stadium with fans, they won a game-winning field goal. I don't remember the name of the kicker. I think he's playing for it's Chase McLaughlin. He's the kicker for the Detroit Lions right now because Prater's out. But yeah, Chase McLaughlin knocked it in. Illinois wins 17-14, or was it 2017? They won. They made a last-second drive. Lovie Smith's only win. I'm liking my Illini. ILL. Next up, we have number 2, Georgia versus number 18, Auburn. 2 schools I'm applying to. Georgia's a 15-point favorite. And over-under is 47.5. You saw what Stetson Bennett did to Arkansas, who's ranked higher. Auburn has no shot. I get Auburn's at home. You got Bo Nix, Tanks Bigsby. Great offense, but all right, I wouldn't say Auburn has no shot. This game will definitely be closer than the Arkansas game. But Kirby Smart has just been such a good program at Georgia. I just don't think they can be stopped. Even if JT Daniels isn't in the lineup, I still think Georgia will just smack the Auburn Tigers as much as I like that. And TCU, Texas Tech, TCU is a 2-point favorite over under 61. Shout out my boy Caden Rutherford down in Fort Worth, big TCU guy. I am riding with the Horned Frogs here with Max Duggan under center. I like TCU here. So chalk that one up. Next up, Notre Dame versus Virginia Tech. Number 14, Notre Dame is looking to bounce back after that loss. Number 5, Cincinnati last week. Desmond Ridder's the real deal. Jack Cohen. Who should be the quarterback going forward? Jack Cohen or Drew Pine? We have yet to see that yet by Coach Brian Kelly. Notre Dame's a 1-point favorite. I think they beat Virginia Tech. However, moving Justin Fuente over to the hot seat more. Forgot to talk about the hot seat coaches, but it's Scott Frost, Manny Diaz, Mike Norvell, and Dino Babers. And now Justin Fuente. Those are my 5 hot seats. Next up, Michigan versus Nebraska. Like I said, Scott Frost on the hot seat. Michigan played surprisingly well with Cade McNamara at quarterback. Got Adrian Hutchinson on the defense. Jim Harbaugh saving his job this year. I think they go 10-2 this year with losses to Penn State and Ohio State. But they get past Nebraska pretty easily, and I think they will go to maybe if not a Rose Bowl, like the Fiesta Bowl or the Peach Bowl, one of the other. No, the Rose Bowl is the playoff this year, right? They will go to the Fiesta Bowl or something. They'll go to one of the other ones. Because the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl, then the Orange Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Orange and Cotton. They'll go to the Cotton Bowl. That's where they'll go. LSU, Kentucky. I got some big things here. Kentucky, 5-0. Mark Stoops, great program. Does not get enough credit. But LSU is 14-1 coming off losses under Coach O in this era. That continues, 15-1. They lost to Auburn last week. Auburn's riding high. You know, that might add some more stuff in the Georgia, but I still think Georgia wins. 15, they might cover that. I don't think if I was a bettor, I would not bet that they cover that. But I like LSU here. Max Johnson finally gets the offense rolling. Coach O finally gets it figured out. They beat Will Levis in Kentucky. Alabama and Texas A&M. We don't even got to talk about this. Bama will destroy Texas A&M. A&M's frauds. We went out them. They're in the graveyard. Bryce Young is phenomenal. Evan Neal, great offensive tackle. And then you got Christian Harris, Jordan Battle, and just John Metchie wide out. But Jordan Battle, Christian Harris on defense. Alabama, Georgia. If one of those teams don't win a national title, I will have a free guest on Zoomer Sports anyone because that's not happening. All right, that's lame. I'll dump a bucket of water over my head or something because that's what's happening there. Penn State. All right, yeah, here the game day game, the headgear pick. Number 4, Penn State at Iowa. Iowa's a 2-point favorite with an over under 41. So that means we're looking for a defensive battle tonight, even though they have great offenses with Sean Clifford over on Penn State and then Tyler Goodson, Spencer Petras on there, Denon Lamoris, high school linebacker there, or he's a tight end there. Tight end at Iowa, went to my high school. I know him. But I got to go with the Nittany Lions in this game. That is my pick. This is the bias pick. I don't like Iowa. I don't like them for basketball reasons. Iowa will probably win this game, but I'm taking Penn State. 100% biased pick. I want Penn State to win. I'll be cheering Penn State. I have this ongoing joke with my AP psych teacher that she went to Iowa. I'm like, Iowa will lose every week. They're not going to. I thought Iowa was going to lose to Iowa State. They're losing to Penn State this week. They're losing to Penn State this week. That's just my words. I don't have much more to say on that. Penn State, go Nittany Lions, white out. I don't know what their saying is, but we're rocking with Penn State today, and that is the end. Oh! Before that, I do have some stuff. James Franklin is 0-9 versus top 5 teams on the road. That becomes 1-9 tonight. Penn State is 10-4 in Iowa City. Already, they do well at Kinnick. Penn State hasn't lost since Iowa beat them last season. They're 9-0 since they become 10-0. That's my reasoning. Go Nittany Lions. Go Illini. College football's back. Zoomer Sports is back. Let's get out of here.